In this video, I'm going to show you how to restore your Weber Performer plastic table to like new condition. What's up guys, it's Troy from the Weber Kettle Club. I make weekly videos about cooking, cleaning, restoring, and collecting Weber charcoal grills. If you like that kind of shit, you should subscribe because I'm into it too and I think we'll get along just great. As I was editing my last video, I could see this grill was just absolutely filthy, especially this surface here. It's all stained from grease and oil and just me being a sloppy cook and leaving containers and shit like that here. This table tends to weather very poorly. The old plastic tables, they stain easily, they get beat up by the sun. Anything that touches them with grease or any residue is gonna leave a mark. You can replace this table for about 76 bucks from Weber. They will allow you to replace your old plastic table with a metal one. I think the part number is 668, or I don't know. The part number for the metal table is right here, because I can't remember it in my head, sorry. But if you want to keep your table plastic and you don't want to spend any money, you can restore your table. Weber Kettle Club forum member, Seller Twofull, Jim, wrote up an excellent tutorial on how to restore these plastic tables. Thank you, Jim, for publishing that on the site. I'm going to demonstrate Jim's technique on my Performer and see how the results come out. For more Weber Kettle cooking and restoration videos, check out my channel and check out WeberKettleClub.com. And the forum on WeberKettleClub.com is full of people who are experts in kettle restoration and kettle cooking. So I encourage you to join if you are a kettlehead. All right, to get our table restored, what we're gonna need is we're gonna need some sandpaper. 150 to 220 grit sandpaper is what you need, starting on the rough side, ending on the fine side. I got some ultra fine steel wool, the 401. I don't know the technical proper way to pronounce that. Quad Ot, I don't know. And you're gonna need some protective spray. Jim recommended the 303 UV spray. He said he's been using it for 20 years. I'm a noob when it comes to this stuff, so Jim, I am trusting your experience on this. Thank you for sharing it. And Jim also recommended some dust masks so we don't inhale all this stuff and die. Although we're gonna die anyway, so we'll see about that. He recommended a sanding block. I borrowed one from my wife and I've already broken it. So thanks, Jim. Now I'm in trouble. I'm gonna start off with my 220 grit sandpaper just to see if I can get by with that. If you need to go deeper, for deeper stains or bigger scratches, start with the grittier, the 100 grit or the 120 grit. I'm gonna put my SARS mask on here. I'm using a little sanding block just to keep my surface flat. I know from experience that my fingers, whatever. So the trick is here, we're gonna sand down the surface just to get all those stains out, just lightly. We're gonna take a surface coat off and we're gonna reseal it with the protectant spray. Let's work in action here. Let's see what happens with this 220 grit sandpaper. All right, I got so much grease and shit caked on mine that the 220 grit filled up with it already, so I'm gonna switch to the 150 and just do it by hand, just to get all the rough stuff off. Whew. You wanna make sure you have extra sandpaper because the sandpaper fills up with the particles from the surface very quickly. The particles are very, very small, which is why I'm wearing a dust mask, and the sandpaper is pretty much hosed. I'm gonna use a fresh sheet for the other half. The sandpaper did a really good job getting all the stains out of the surface and all the scratches as well. It's still looking kind of rough right now, and it didn't even hit all the spots, but I'm gonna switch to steel wool and get it ready to finish. I want to say that Jim recommended a dust brush as well, and I didn't take his advice because I'm a dumbass. Get a dust brush because there's a lot of dust, and getting that dust out of the way will make your sandpaper go much further, and it'll make your fingers a lot less messy as well. So, dust brush. Good advice, Jim. Now I'm using the 40 steel wool. For the steel wool, I'm just going to use the same technique. Just hold up my hand, go back over. I'm trying to make a nice, smooth, uniform finish where the surface is all the same finish and the same color. That's what I'm going for. I'm trying not to get any of these steel wool particles or the particles from the surface into my lungs, so I'm wearing the SARS mask. If I were flipping this grill, I would take the kettle off or take the table off, one or the other, and make sure I get all the surfaces so it looks brand new. But this is my grill, it's staying in the collection, and I'm just gonna make sure it looks nice. I'm not gonna take anything apart. Be careful not to re-stain the surface with your dirty ass hands either, because it totally can happen. When this surface is all sanded and rough like this, any shit or oil that gets on there is going to stain and go deeper in. So make sure your hands are clean as you're working. I can see that there's some stain coming back through here. Persistent little bitch, isn't it? I'm going to come back with some rough sandpaper right now. Dust brush. Did I mention a dust brush? Now that our surface is nice and clean, I didn't get all the stains out, but I did pretty good. I'm sure I could get the surface to look brand spanking new if I wanted to spend another 20 or 25 minutes with the rougher sandpaper, but I'm all out of that rougher sandpaper and I'm all out of attention as well. So it's looking good enough for me. I don't need that showroom finish because my grill is a cooker. Now I'm going to wipe it down with a damp rag to get rid of any of the dust because I didn't have a dust brush, and prepare it for the 303 protectant finish. All right, after I've wiped off all that dust from the sanding, it's time to put on the UV protective sealant. Jim recommended the 303 protective spray because he's had 20 years of experience with it, so that's what I'm going to use as well. The instructions and Jim say to apply to a towel and then wipe it on nice and evenly. Jim recommended using the towel so you don't get overspray on the kettle. Pretty good advice. That way I don't have to clean up the kettle. Although in this case, the kettle really needs a cleanup, so perhaps I should just spray it directly on the surface. In case it looks like this stuff is not making a damn bit of difference, it's actually because I put it on before this little segment of video was actually shot. I done messed up. I accidentally put it on when the camera wasn't recording and did the whole talkie part and close out the video and everything. So now I'm just doing it again for good measure and so I can say some stuff to the camera. So the protective spray says to put this stuff back on, to reapply every 3 to 4 weeks. I'm happy with it right now. It looks really good. It doesn't look as good as it would if it was brand new, but it's good enough for me. I'm sure if you wanted to make yours look brand new, it'd be very easy to do so. About 20 more minutes of work probably. And all in all, this project took me about 45 minutes. Thanks again, Jim, Stellar 2 Full, the Weber Kettle Club forum member, for putting this tutorial together and helping me out. Hit up WeberKettleClub.com for more Weber charcoal grilling tips and techniques and tutorials and recipes and a forum full of kettle heads that all are amazing with their grills. Thank you for watching. I'm out of here.